All right. Mute myself. Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome everybody to the Beauty Boardroom Student Success Office Hours, where we provide free live virtual coaching. You are joining us on today, Tuesday. We're running a little bit behind, but we normally run Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so these office hours are designated to help cosmetology students and other beauty related professions to develop better study skills, help you prepare for the cosmetology board exam or other beauty related professions. We have a few group expectations. Everybody will be muted during the session. You might have an opportunity to unmute during this session. We like to ask that you please keep yourselves on mute until that time. So this is a group discussion and we will answer questions based on the benefit of everyone. We are going to um, focus on questions that benefit the group or answering questions that benefit the group. So much so that uh, that said, we are going to table any personalized personal questions towards either the end of the session, or you can book an individualized study session with me at your leisure and convenience. Okay. So that said, we're going to go right into our introduction. I want to welcome you to the Beauty Boardroom um, Success Hours. So the Beauty Boardroom is a Michigan-based company that when we help beauty-related professions students to help you prepare for licensing exams, and we provide you with practical study skills, exam strategies, exam prep guidance, and ongoing support to help you in your journey on to passing your board exam. Okay, so the purpose of our sessions, we already went over the purpose, but my teaching philosophy is based on four pillars. Those four pillars include: I want you to study strategically, I want to help you to build your understanding, I want you to practice your consistency, and I want to prepare you to confidently pass your board exams the first time. And you'll notice me going back and forth on toggling between my slides. So bear with me as I do that. Okay, so a little bit about me. So my name is Meah Tway. I'm based in the great state of Michigan, and I am from Detroit specifically. I graduated beauty school in 2015 after receiving a college degree. I was a part-time evening student, and I went to a school in the Metro Detroit area. I was able to juggle multiple priorities for something that I was passionate about since I was a kid. I obtained my cosmetology licensure in 2015. Um, and I went back in, let's see, 2019 to get my instructor credential. And I waited a year after that due to the COVID pandemic to take my exam. At that time, I had to travel to Ohio to do a proctored exam there. And I passed the first attempt. They notified me immediately after I took the exam. I was so ecstatic because, again, it took me a year from the time that I finished classes and coursework, uh, a whole year until I took the exam. So my study prep materials are going to be designed to help you to get ready for your exam, no matter what amount of time that you have between your schooling and your exam date. Okay. So I've been where you are and I can help you to pass your exam if you follow some of these methods that we're going to be discussing. All right, so we're going to move right along. For the benefit of the room, we could go around if there are any participants if anybody wants to raise their hand or unmute themselves at this time to introduce, we can do so at this time. We're going to do this little bit of icebreaker. If anybody wants to participate, I want to know what's your name. I want to know where you're from. And I want to know what program that you're studying and which exam are you preparing for. Okay, so if we have any participants in the room that want to unmute themselves, please do so at this time. so that you could be acknowledged and recognized, and so that we could get a little bit of participation here. We have had some shy groups in the recent past. I don't see anybody wanting to unmute themselves at this time, so we're going to move right along so we can keep schedule today. Okay. You know what? I did not receive a question of the week this week from our viewers. So yeah, I did not receive a question of the week this week. Normally we do a question of the week where if a member submits a question to our beauty boardroom community, we can answer that question. Did not receive a question this week, so we will go skip right over that this week. And we're going to get straight into our lesson of the day. Okay, so uh, I realized earlier today that my posting let's see. I realized earlier today that my posting timeline for the video content has been lagging and or slow. So we're going to utilize this session 4 to recap the information that we went over in the previous sessions, and then I will do, instead of us going directly into lesson number 5 next week I will use that to recapture everything that we should have done up until this point. Okay, that's what I'm going to focus on. Oh, and I don't know why. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to focus on for the next week's video session, because I realized that I am not as quick to post the previous session's information so that you can actually follow along without having viewed the whole video and participated. So that said, we're going to go over last week's lesson recap. Okay, so last week we went over a few different things. We completed the study time assessment survey, which is found on this link here. Okay, and I'm going to share, well, here, let's just put it in the frame here. I think it's easier for me to just put this in the frame instead of sharing a totally different screen. So last week we completed the study time assessment survey. So based on that, you should know a couple of different things. You should know how many days that you have before your exam. You should, ooh, hold on. There we go. Okay, based on that information, you should know how many days you have before your exam. You should know how many hours per day you could realistically study. You should know whether your preference for long or short study sessions. You should also know how long you can realistically stay focused in a study session at a time. You should also know how many breaks you need in your study session, whether or not you could commit to a short, medium, long-term, or variable study plan. You should also know which plan you might benefit from using the most right now, to include either my structured study plan or my flex study method. I haven't gone over those pieces of the puzzle yet. However, we're going to go over that information in week 6, because week 5, like I said, we're going to use next week to recapture. Well, it depends. It depends on how things go, or if people feel that they need more time to complete the assignments before we move forward to that session. So, though that's a few things that should have been completed. Okay, so you should also have to this point downloaded and reviewed your candidate information bulletin. Candidate information bulletin. Mm. Candidate information bulletin. Mm, mm. Okay, let's, uh, okay. All right, so, We're gonna go to COS instructor licensing guide. Why not? Okay, so this is what a candidate information bulletin looks like. This is the one for COS instructor licensing guide. The most important part of the candidate information bulletin we went over is where the test provider is. That's the test provider for the state of Michigan for COS instructor. This document shows you how much you're going to pay for that exam. It's going to show you your requirements checklist. It is also, that's actually the candidate information bulletin. That is the information from the state board website. The candidate information bulletin was a little bit difficult to find. It was on the test provider website. And what we did was we navigated there, going over some of the things that we went over last time, just to recapture where we're at. Industries, barber, cause. Do we have an exam loading? Okay, this was where you find your cause and beauty related professions candidate information bulletins. Okay. Computer affidavit. Where is this form? Like I was saying, the website is a little bit different now, so view available tests. Online application tutorial. This applying for a test accommodation. Okay, so I'm probably going to cut this part of the video out because for whatever reason, for the life of me right now, I am unable to navigate to where we wanted to go. We wanted to get the candidate information bulletin, but like I said, the website is a little different and things are in different spots than they were previously. Okay, so you should already have your candidate information bulletin by now. If you don't, message me, I'll help you get there. Okay, now the goal was to help you work on your study schedule for the next session being today. So as an example, last week I had determined how many, if I was a student right now, I had determined how many hours that I needed to study or how many hours I could handle for my study sessions. And I made up a date for how long it is from now until my exam. So I had determined that I could focus for 2 hours per study session. And I could do 1 hour intervals with a 15-minute break in between. So I would recommend whatever your total amount of study time you have available, I would recommend that you add your break to that instead of subtracting your break from the timeline that you designated. So for example, if you determine that you only could study for an hour at a time, instead of and let's say that you determine that you needed a 15-minute break, instead of studying for an hour, some people would say, okay, I'm going to study for an hour, but I need a 15-minute break. And instead of the studying for an hour, they'll study for 45 minutes and then take a 15-minute break. I do not recommend that because I recommend you having even blocks or chunks of time that you could devote. So for example, I would rather that you study this, that you say you're going to study for an hour versus an hour and 15 minutes. Because unless you can commit to an hour and 15, or instead of an hour and a half that you could study, maybe study for 2 hours, because then you can add your break time onto that 2 hours. So do you get what I'm saying? So for example, if you have an hour to study, make your total study session an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. Or maybe you don't need a break in during an hour session. Or if your sessions are going to be 2 hours long, maybe you need to study for 2 hours and 15 minutes with the 15-minute interval being the break that you're going to take in between. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying is whatever the break time that you're designating for yourself, add that into your add that into your study time after you've already designated your study block time. So for me, I need 2 hours, so I'm going to take 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm going to study for 1 hour, then I'm going to take a 15-minute break, then I'm going to study for another hour. I'm going to have a timer handy so that I can keep on pace with what it is that I'm doing. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Let's move forward. I had also designated or earmarked that for my mock exam is going to be 30 days from now. Okay. So that means that I've got 30 days from now until my exam date. It means that I have 2 hours per session that I can study. That's how much time I could devote. Okay. Now we're going to move on to create, now that we have the base amount of time that we need so that we can focus, we're going to now earmark some time that we can actually do this. Okay, that includes creating a weekly time commitment chart. So the materials required for this assignment are going to be a worksheet and a pencil. This is going to be real quick. I'm going to demo this. Okay, this is my weekly time commitment chart. I'm going to download this document. This document will be available in my Google Docs, and I'm going to, because again, I've been having trouble uploading things timely, I'm going to create a link tree where you can access these worksheets from the YouTube channel link tree. So for example, I'm going to post a link to the link tree in the description for this YouTube channel, the Beauty Boardroom, and you will be able to go directly to the document that you need based on the week that you are consuming this content. Okay, so that's the little blurb there. Okay, so I'm going to download this document so that I can edit it. How am I going to do that? Let's see. Oh, here we go. I don't quite want to print it. I want to, I want to download this so that I can edit on it. Okay, let's move this. So I'm going to download this document so I can edit it, and then I'm going to reopen it. Just go to my downloads. Okay. Actually, wait. I want to open that and whoop. I want to open this in Microsoft Edge so that I can edit it. Where is it? Hmm. Okay, here we go. It'll open in a moment. Whoop. Too many things going on here. I had too many windows open. Oh, maybe I need a faster computer. Not working as fast as my mind works. Let's close out a few things. Oh, okay. All right, that's opening. So while that's opening, I want to just while that's opening, let's also go over yeah, while that's opening up, let's go over the actual lesson for today, or this was part of the lesson for today. I'm sorry, I got a little jumbled up there. Okay. So I want to bring your attention now to our hourly study allocation chart. Okay. This chart was created with the Michigan or with the PSI exam content rubric in mind as an example for the cosmetology instructor exam. So as an example, for this, as you recall, or if you recall, if you printed out your candidate information bulletin from your exam provider, you noticed or you were able to notice the percentages of the exam weights for the particular exam that you're going to take. This particular content rubric is for the cosmetology instructor exam specifically. So it was determined that these are the percentages of the different examination content blocks. So that said, you would take the total amount of hours that you're going to study or that you can devote, and you're going to multiply it by the percentage of the exam category. And that's how you're going to determine how many or how long you're going to study for each particular content block. So as an example, if you had 2 hours, I'm going to just use myself as an example. Let's say I was going to take the COS instructor exam and I had 2 hours each day that I needed to study, or whatever, 2 hours per session that I needed to study, then that means that I would be studying for 36 minutes of exam content category one. I would take 28 minutes for category two. I would take 24 minutes for category three, 20 minutes for category four, and 12 minutes for category five. Okay. So whenever reviewing things like this is whenever that calculator comes in handy. I know that it probably seems like this is maybe tech or math heavy, or yeah, it probably seems a little bit complex to the uh, general student. And it kind of is, but then it's not. This is literally what I used in order for me to pass my examination. So I'm just sharing what worked for me. And of course, I have methods that can simplify this across any beauty related discipline. This rubric can be applied to any exam. The study allocation chart can be applied to any exam so that you could pass literally any exam that you need to by focusing on the how much time you need to devote to each portion of the exam. So like I said, this is for college instructors specifically, but we can work out the content categories for each of the beauty related professions. It would just take me a little bit of time to do that. But, based on student needs, that's definitely something that we can work on together. That said, this is not necessarily the method that you want or the approach that you might need to take if you have a limited amount of time before you pass your exam. This ideally is going to be designed for perhaps the student who is still in the program, or perhaps the student who's not yet scheduled their examination, because whenever you schedule that exam, you're kind of running up against a time block because you know that you've already paid and your date is going to come up regardless of whether or not you're ready. So these study methods, while they can be employed at any interval of your journey to pass your exam, they are best utilized with all these calculations and things anyway. They're best utilized while you're a student, or kind of before you actually schedule your exam, because this is to help you get ready for the exam. We don't want you to be stressed out because you already scheduled the exam and you need to backtrack and figure out how you're going to study for it. That's really not the best way to go, but I understand everybody's in a different scenario. So, well, I'll try to work with you if that's your situation. Okay, so I just wanted to bring your attention to that. And I can go over again. I'll probably do separate videos on how to utilize these charts and get a little bit of background information to students about how these allocation charts kind of really work. But for the purposes of this is live coaching. So we're gonna get quick and we're gonna be quick and dirty with everything for this. So okay. All right, so we're gonna get back to the weekly time commitment chart. Okay. So here, let's make this larger. For the weekly time commitment allocation chart, I am going to make this editable and we're going to make the text to be what color? Oh, let's make it blue. Okay, so this is designed for me to determine when I think I can realistically tackle those 2 hours worth of study session that I need to. So, okay, whenever you're doing this is going to be a practical, like, don't do what you think you should be doing on this time commitment chart. You need to put what you're actually typically doing on this time commitment chart. Let's keep it real. While you're studying or while you're trying to figure out a study plan, don't think of it like, don't think of the lack aspect of it. And what I mean by that is this: don't think about it from the standpoint of, oh, I want to be able to study during this time. That's not really the best way to tackle this. You need to focus on what you can actually do right now. We're not talking about potential here. We're talking about actuality, like where you're at now, because my study system is also designated or is designed to help you to move from, if you don't have study skills like that, it's designed to help you move from not having study skills to beginning to organize your time so that you can have time earmarked to study so that you can provide yourself with the best possible outcome. So, okay, let's keep it real. We're gonna keep it real in what we're doing most of the time. So, okay, Monday at 12 a.m. Normally at 12 a.m. I'm sleeping. So I'm typically sleeping from, let's see, I'm always sleep. I typically kind of wake up around, and my days are pretty similar. My weekdays are pretty similar. So, um, I'm sleeping typically between 12 and 8 a.m. And then at 9 a.m. I prep for work. So I'm gonna just put work prep. And then by 10, I'm supposed to be at work. And then I normally do a 10 to 6 at my current employer. So I'm gonna copy. Can I copy paste? I don't know if I can copy paste on this. Let's see. Will it let me copy paste? Nope. So my schedule is the same Monday through Friday. So I'm going to actually just leave that like that. And I'm going to extend it from Monday to Friday because that's my normal day. Okay. And then I'm going to, how do I, then I'm going to, there we go. Okay. So we're going to create a new one here. And I'm typically, like I said, I'm typically working until 5 or no, 6. And then I go home. It sometimes takes me about an hour to get home. Um, yeah, sometimes it takes me an hour to get home okay, now normally my Monday through Friday between 10 to 6 is the same. The only things, uh-oh, move that up a little bit. Oh, that's okay. The only things that are different will be like my Tuesday, which is today. I do the beauty boardroom. We'll just put boardroom. Okay. And I typically plan out what I'm gonna do after that. Okay. Now, like I said, my Monday through Friday is the same. Do I do anything else during the weeknights during the week? No, I mean, I might eat dinner. Uh, so I'm gonna replicate this eating dinner. So I'm gonna prep. Well, normally I try to prep my food on the weekend. So I'm gonna put that I eat dinner typically around the same time, Monday through Friday. My Friday nights, I kind of like chill out. So I don't want to be doing any studying on a Friday night. um, at all. Okay, now on Saturdays, okay, Sunday, I have an appointment. I might decide that I want to go to church, or I might have brunch, or I might have therapy, or I might do brunch, or I might do lunch. Okay, so normally that's gonna be uh here. That's normally gonna be between like my 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. I might do one or more of those activities. During the afternoon, we're still gonna put lunch. I'm gonna extend this to be laundry. I might prep for the week. Um, I'm gonna put 2 hours for prep for the week. I don't have any children or anything, so I don't really deal with taking care of anybody else. But on Monday, sometimes I will visit parents. And sometimes whenever I do that, that takes 2 hours because sometimes I lose track of the time. Okay, so let's move this up. Okay, so if I was to look at my schedule, typically, okay, on Saturdays, let's see, let me add my sleeping time real quick to Saturday and Sunday. Okay, yeah, because I'm typically sleep. Okay, so okay, let me copy and paste my Sunday. Okay, yeah, because I'm typically sleep during that time. I kind of let's see, on Sundays, I typically try to go to sleep by like 10, or I think I do anyway. Okay, so if I was to look at this schedule, okay, imagine here. Let's fill this up. And duplicate it again. I love Microsoft Edge. It just is so helpful. Because I did that really quickly. Okay, filled up this very quickly. Okay, so according to Mia's schedule, I only have time on perhaps Saturday. Okay, these are the days I probably have available to study. So it looks like I have Wednesday, 2 hours, Thursday, 2 hours. I do have Saturday for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's see. I'm about to put Saturday, I might go out. So here we go, put I'm not studying nothing after no 8 p.m. on no Saturday. So like I said, you got to be realistic. Okay, so based on this, it's looking like I only have Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday available to study, maybe Sunday. So let me save this document. Okay. Now let me open my document. And then that way we can Right. Okay, that way we can take a look at it. So let's share that screen totally. Okay. All right. So based on my weekly time commitment chart, it's looking like I said, I only have Wednesday between, what is that? Is that 8 p.m.? No, I have Wednesday from 9 p. to 11 p. Thursday, Saturday. Okay, Wednesday, 9 p. to 11 p. Saturday, what time? I have Saturday. If I get up studying, I have 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. to study on Saturday. And I have Sunday from 5 p. to 7 p. So that means I have 4 days per week that I can study. Okay, and that is how you complete the weekly time commitment chart. We determine how many hours we have available per day or how much we can largely focus. And then based on how many hours that you think you could focus in tandem with the actual time you have available, that is how you come up with your actual study schedule. Okay, so let's minimize that. Okay, now you know how to complete a weekly time commitment chart. And let's go back to our presentation. Mhm. Okay, so now you know how to, oops, now you know how to do your weekly time commitment chart in theory. So let's see. So now that takes us to our weekly challenge for the week. Okay. Like I've said before, the weekly challenge is designed to give you um, a goal for completion. I'm going to tell you the estimated amount of time that's going to take you. And let's see, it took me about 10 minutes to complete that, 10, 15 minutes. Okay, and then I want you to come back next week and be prepared to discuss your progress, challenges, or questions. So that said, the assignment for tonight, since we did a walkthrough of how you would do your weekly time commitment chart. So now you're going to complete your own weekly time commitment chart. Okay, like I said, the link for the weekly time commitment chart is going to be in the Beauty Boardroom's YouTube link tree. So in order to access the link tree, you would type in linktree.com/ the Beauty Boardroom Co. That is going to be a link in the description bar I'll add the link in the description bar for the video. I'm going to be more timely within the next few weeks about reposting the content. Okay, so at this juncture, you should have the older assignments already completed. And we will use, so the older assignments are navigating the state board website, finding the test provider, visit the test provider website, download the candidate information bulletin to determine the test content category, completing the study time assessment survey to determine the time until you have your exam. We would have done that, I believe, last week or the week prior. Complete the study time content calculation sheet to determine how much time you need to devote to each subject. That was last week's lesson. Okay, and this week's lesson is complete the weekly time commitment chart. So that way you know what days you're actually going to study this content. Okay. All right, that brings us to our pregame for next week. Like I said, originally next week's topic was going to be structured study plans and preparing exam content outlines, but we may in the interim do a break from the next week recap, and I may have to catch everybody up to speed to see or to find out where everybody is. So next week's topic is the structured study plan, preparing exam content outlines. However, we may break from that and I may have to recap everybody so that we do everything in one session. So it's possible that next week's session may go longer than 30 minutes. This already is longer than 30 minutes. And I'm finding that I think instead of a 30-minute time block, I might have to make our time block to be 45 minutes, or possibly an hour at times. So that's just pre-gaming you for our upcoming sessions. So that gets us back to, or next to our discussion. If anybody has any questions at this time, we can unmute for any participants in the chat that want to ask questions or anything of that nature. Anybody out there want to ask any questions? You could do so at this time. Nobody raising their hand for any questions? Okay. If not, let's move it right along because we're almost done with our session. Okay, so let's see. Okay, our success tip of the week. Okay, this week's success tip. I need you to study in shorter time blocks, okay? Um, it would appear that when studying, it seems like you might be more, sometimes it may seem like you're going to be more effective if you have a longer study session, but a shorter study session can keep you focused and on pace, on task to actually study what the content is and to be more focused in your efforts instead of stretching out a long block of time that you are not really going to commit to long term. So, in essence, there are two focused 45-minute sessions are going to be more effective than a distracted 3 hours. Okay. That's why one of the recommendations that I gave earlier was to, if you have a time block that you're going to study, add your break on to that instead of taking your break and dipping into that. So like I said, if you need if you have an hour to study and you might need a 10 or 15-minute break, make sure that your study session is for an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and 15. That way you're not taking away from the time you need to study in order for you to do a break and you know and play. Okay, so that's the student success tip of the week. That takes us next to our words of encouragement. Last week we had a quote from Miss Maya Angelou herself. Today's quote is from Mahatma Gandhi, who was an Indian lawyer, an anti-colonial nationalist, and political ethicist who employed nonviolent resistance to lead a successful campaign for India's independence from British rule. And he later inspired civil rights movements across the world. The quote is, "The future depends on what you do today." That is Mahatma Gandhi. The future depends on what you do today. So today we are working on our study skills. So the future for your study skills is bright because of what you've done today, which is participate in today's session. Okay, so we're going to wrap up and recap. So we've done a few things today. We've recapped our lesson from last week. We've gotten our new homework assignment for this week, which is the study time, your weekly study. What's my document called? Um, so many documents. Uh, but we but we've gone over quite a few things today. What is it called? The weekly time commitment chart. That is going to get you to knowing when you can actually employ the study schedule that you are anticipating. Okay, does anybody have any questions at this time? You can unmute yourself if you have any questions at this time. No questions? Okay, let's move it along. All right. I want to bring your attention to our social media. Please check out our social media pages and follow along with the lessons that we're providing here on YouTube. We do have an Instagram page. There's nothing posted just yet. I've been very busy trying to launch a few different projects lately, but I would like for you to please stay connected for more tips about studying. Make sure that you follow us there on the Instagram account just the same. As things ramp up, I may get busier. So at this time, if you feel that you need to contact me, for personal assistance with some of these things, please feel free to do so. Even when things pick up, I'll still try to make my best efforts to assist you because I know that sometimes exam rubric or exam timelines are rather sensitive in nature for people. So please check out our social media, stay connected with me. Um, and I want to really thank you for being here and thank you for spending your time with me tonight. We mostly kept time. I was running about a little 10 minutes late this particular session. As I go forward, I will try to keep the time at 7:30. We may even move up the time because trying to wait around until 7:30 is a little difficult sometimes based on whatever else I got going on. But right now, the time is going to remain 7:30 until I change it or until we get some requests and or recommendations from the majority of participants to determine what the best time is for these sessions. It's possible that we may move the session to a Sunday. That way we could get a little bit more participation. Because I do understand that Tuesday nights, if I were to work with students who are currently evening students like I was, they're in classes at this time. So this may not be the best time block for a lot of students to really participate in the sessions. I have considered that and realized that it was the first time block that I was available that I could consistently commit to. So that's it. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have learned something from this session. Please check out our next future sessions. I will be posting things in our community tab for upcoming sessions, in addition to other things that I may have going on that may be of benefit to students across the beauty related professions. Again, my name is Coach Meah and you're watching the Beauty Boardroom. Thank you for being here. Have a good evening and happy studying and good luck on your board exam.